Welcome back. Now, the Chief Minister's meeting on internal security in Delhi on Monday should have been about just that, internal security. But the headlines this morning focused on the meeting that happened on the sidelines. Narendra Modi, Jayalalitha and Naveen Patnaik. The question is there a serious attempt to form an anti-Congress front, or is all of this just a mirage?
An unscheduled meeting of non-Congress chief ministers stealing the thunder from the high-profile meet of chief ministers conveyed by the UPA government to discuss internal security. UPA's saving grace, West Bengal chief minister, was missing from this photo op that kept journalists busy and political circles guessing. Is a new anti-Congress front taking shape?
I've just made a courtesy call.
But the meet certainly went beyond extending normal courtesies. This powerful group of chief ministers, with a little help from Mamata Banerjee, has worked together in the past. They've managed to put a pause to the National Counter-Terrorism Centre, or NCTC, UPA's proposed anti-terror body, successfully opposed the inclusion of Lokayukta in the Lokpal bill, jointly argued about compensating state governments to switch over to a new tax regime, the proposed goods and services tax regime.
People are disturbed as to the way you are seeking to ignore concerns of state governments.
And sources point out such collaboration could well extend to decide on a name for the presidential polls, scheduled for July this year. So is the government worried about the attitude of non-Congress chief ministers?
Fourth front, this is the evergreen mirage of Indian politics.
The Prime Minister has called another meeting of chief ministers on the 5th of May to try and work out a consensus on the contentious issue of setting up a National Counter-Terrorism Centre, or the NCTC. So while the government works on a strategy to try and convince the states, opposition ruled states, especially the non-Congress chief ministers, are sure to work on their own strategy to counter the UPA government. In New Delhi, Sandeep Pukan, NDTV.
So what is this meeting about? Is the anti-Congress front a mirage, or could it be a reality? Joining us now for this segment is Jay Panda, Lok Sabha MP from the BJD, who joins us from Bhubaneswar. We also have Mr. Rajagopalan, who's a senior journalist and analyst. Let me ask Jay Panda first. Is there more to this meeting, Jay, than meets the eye yesterday? Naveen Patnaik, Jayalalitha, Narendra Modi, it grabbed all the headlines here today. Surely it was more than a courtesy call.
Well, these are chief ministers that are part of a larger group that have shared concerns. It's no secret that not only or non-Congress chief ministers, but also some allies of the Congress, and if we were to be completely honest, even some Congress chief ministers have reservations about some of the provisions of the NCTC. I want to point out here that there are nuances in these various leaders who have taken a stand on this. For our part, Mr. Naveen Patnaik has always asked for consultations to be expedited. We are not against the NCTC, but we are clear that it ought to have some kind of oversight from Parliament, some scrutiny by Parliament, and also the delicate balance of powers between the centre and the state ought not to be brushed aside. So with some amendments, we would like to go ahead. Now, whether this has a bigger meaning or not will depend on how the UPA government continues to behave. If it continues to first announce policies and only then have consultations, then we will need to have more such meetings to thrash out joint positions. But if the UPA actually does the right thing, which is to consult regional leaders first and then shape policy, I think perhaps there wouldn't be need for so many side meetings.
Do you have the NDTV Profit app? All the markets, all the news, and your own homemade, ready-made portfolio available there for you.
We will right now answer what you should sell, what you should buy when markets are down.
Download at ndtvprofit.com/apps. Get the best app from the channel you trust.